Hi everyone, it's Natalie here. Welcome. So I thought I would do kind of like a TTBR for the spring because I love this idea of the TTBR. Candy from Candy Soul and Soil is, of course, the progenitor of that hashtag, and I love it. I think it's a really good one. I just went to do I'm going to do, so I should say, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to also just offer an update about various things. I'm all dressed up. I'm on a dress and my like long linen thing here, because woo, yeah, woohoo, yeah, boobs, flash. Because I just got interviewed for the local paper. It was really cool. And they did they're interviewing all of the end-of-life doulas in the St. Louis area, of which I'm one. Yeah, it's really cool. And they interviewed me with one of my former clients who is now kind of a friend, really. That family was the one I was with last summer when I kind of dropped out for a while, because I feel kind of in a way like I'm coming full circle because, for a time, it was really hard to know 1 minute to the next whether I would be pulled out and needed over there, or whether I would have some space, and just to kind of give myself a little bit of grace and time and stuff to cope with it. I made the choice at a certain point just to say, I'm just going to put down anything that's not necessary right now so that I can focus on this and whatnot. So, and I have no regrets about that in many ways. I've missed being here. I've really, really missed being here. But I have no regrets about just choosing to put some things down, because sometimes you just have to. And at that time, or at that moment, I also really needed to put more focus into my my Buddhist practice, which, as you know, kind of forms the foundation of everything for me. I took a couple of courses that were really needed. One of them is an end-of-life practice that I've been doing for quite some time, but they didn't make the online version of the course available until sometime last summer. So the practice is called Zigeuner-Tarot, and so it's a practice you do for the dying and the deceased. And I had the good fortune that I was working with a family who was really open-minded, or couple, right, who were really open-minded. So they were very open to having me do that practice for the wife while she was going through her process of transitioning out of her body. And it was really exciting. So, and I think I made 2 videos about it, and then realized I just can't, I needed to make them for myself. And I realized afterwards, they're not for anyone else at this point. Right. But anyway, lots of babbling, right? Lots of babbling. It's a good day. It's also a really good day today because, and I don't think I ever talked about this, or I may have mentioned it at one point, when I adopted Henry, who is here on the floor next to me. It's a very warm day, so he's kind of hot and panting and just kind of getting some space. He was heartworm positive. I don't know what his circumstances were, right? When we just never know when you adopt a rescue, but he was in the South, and of course in the deep South in the U.S., that is heartworm territory. It's like heartworm central. I'm wondering what's happening with this lipstick at this point. I kind of feel like, the grandma was like, is it on straight? It's like all over, Anyway, he was exposed enough to the mosquitoes down there that he did contract heartworm, and they gave him a slow treatment, because the slow kill method can sometimes be a very gentle way of handling it. It did not work. So after being treated for 10 months of that, when I took him back last fall, I think in October, I feel it was in October, maybe, I don't remember exactly. It was in the fall. He came back positive again when he should have come back negative. And the doctor said, I've had this a time or two before, and if I keep them on this treatment for another 2 months, they usually clear up and come back negative. So we did that. And I think that was in November. It must have been September was when we tested him, and November was when we tested him again. And he was still coming back positive. So we had to do it's like, I described it to friends, like it was like doing chemotherapy on your dog or having your dog go through chemotherapy. They shaved off 2 little patches on his upper back. Maybe I could insert pictures because I have a little bit of space in my schedule. And they put, in there, they like inject, I guess on one night, the first day they inject, and then they gave him like 12 hours of supervision at the vet. And then they went in and they injected a second time. And that was like the day before and the day of my birthday. So my birthday, last year, and I didn't consider it to actually be a bad day, ironically, but, I went to go pick up my dog from the vet after having had, heartworm treatment, which again was like, I've never seen him in so much pain. And looking just so sickly. He's like before that treatment, he was like the most lively, like jumping up and down, bouncing puppy, you've ever seen. And afterwards it was just awful. It was so bad. And you can't let them run. You can't let them like run their heart rate up too much for like 6 to 8 weeks to make sure that as the worms are dying off, that they don't, it could cause, like in a human, right? If you have a blood clot, it can cause a stroke. So it's the same kind of thing. You're trying to make sure that your dog doesn't end up with a stroke or, a heart attack. It was scary. As scary as it wasn't so bad, right? Because like actually it meant I could take him with me to work every day. So he actually became like a fixture at the office because he was at the office all the time. So I could keep an eye on him and also not have him feel abandoned. So he was just being loved on and talked to all day long. And now we have patients that are like, I actually feel like I need him there for moral support and emotional support when I'm doing, stress technique. And so, yeah, we have like at least 1 day a week. We have him at the office still, even 4 months later, because everybody misses him. So it's kind of a bonus, right? Yeah, that was one good thing that came out of it. And he has not been quite himself since the treatment. Like, at a certain point, you could tell, like, after about 4 weeks, he felt more like himself because keeping him quiet was really hard. And we did have to give him some tranquilizers to make sure that he stayed calm, to, again, avoid a heart attack or stroke or whatever. But it was worth it. It was really worth it. And I was prepared when I went in today for them to say, like, I'm really sorry. It didn't quite get all of them. We may need to continue and maybe try another treatment or whatever. But they didn't. So I can't even begin to describe, like, like how relieved I am. Not because of, I don't know. It wasn't that I was afraid. Like, I realized at a certain point, I love him, and really loving him means that I'm going to take the best care I can of him with this issue. And, if he can't survive it or he can't live a good life, understanding, like, I would be prepared to take those steps. I think what I feel most relieved about is that he's not suffering and that he's not going to have to suffer another treatment. Because with humans, they can tell you what they need, right? They can tell you, I'm hurting, I'm sore, I just need a cuddle, I just need to throw up, I just need a pain pill, whatever it is. But, your pets can't tell you. So as attuned as you might think you are to them, your own emotions are going to get in the way, right? That's right. Yeah. So, yeah. And I'm just also relieved because that means I have more time with him. The heartworm will have cut his life a little bit short, which I knew, right, when I adopted him. And honestly, I would say I would adopt another heartworm positive dog again, even if their prognosis wasn't good, just because of having been through this once and understanding it. So, I don't know. After losing Noah, made my heart bigger, and so I'm gonna get weepy if I'm not careful. But like it makes me love him that much more. It makes me love Henry that much more. But it also makes me feel like I would want. I know, boo boo. He knows, right? I would adopt another one of you any day of the week, just because you need the love, right? Because there's something karmically going on there that needs love and repair. So anyway, yeah. So it's made me think, right? Like if this were to happen again, with another dog, I'd probably even maybe talk to local rescues to say, who do you have that's a really good dog that's heartworm positive and maybe not as likely to be adopted, So anyway, which would have scared me before, but now having been through this and knowing so much more about the treatment and how it functions and how it works and how to get through it and I don't feel as freaked out about it. So anyway, that's all good. It's all positive stuff. So now, what are we, 11, 12 minutes in? And now we're ready to talk about the TTBR. I have seen this on BookTube, and I think it's a really fun tag. I really enjoy it. So the first deck, I've got a series here. The first deck, of course, I think is going to be super obvious. It is the Siddhartha Tarot by, who is this author? Bruno Letitzia. Yeah. Of course, I'm completely besotted with this deck. I mean, how could I not be as a Buddhist? It's really gorgeous. It is still I've got it still in order. I will eventually read with it. I just haven't. I probably need to just cut it, and I do. I need to just shuffle it. I haven't shuffled it even, and just read with it. I've been kind of treating it like with kid gloves, so to speak, and like not just diving in. Oh, I love that. There's chud practice. Because I keep thinking like, well, I want to like really know the deck and have read through everything and understand it really well before I ever try to read with it. And that's not how you get to know a deck, right? It's just like, hello. So I need to actually read with it. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to shuffle it right now. Because what could be more fun or more wholesome? And there's an affirmation right there. That Three of Pentacles, because that is Ayukandro, and she has some very special meaning to me. So, oh, look at that shuffle. See, this is also why I wanted it, because it's going to shuffle like a dream. Look at that action. Look at that action. So a lot of people really hate this kind of cardstock, but I love it. Because of that. I could sit and do that all day, and that's a good thing because I'm hoping to do more of that this summer where there's like more opportunities to read all day. Actually, probably not all day, but for more than just like an hour or two, or maybe just for an hour or two. I don't know. I kind of enjoy being able to do stuff like that, and I have not done it for a while, and it's fun. Oops, it wants to escape me. So yeah, here we go. We're just kind of having fun and playing, and I'm really having a good time. So there we go. It is a little bit more like mixed up now. It's fun because you can actually see at the bottoms. Oops, let's see if you can see it more like this. You can see like what the color distribution is, and that sort of tells you how well shuffled it is. So there are a bunch in there that are still kind of not fully mixed, but it's not a big deal. I'll do more of it later, and I'll pull cards and actually like read the fucking deck instead of just reading about the deck and researching the deck. So there we go. Thanks for helping me with that because I clearly needed some assistance and was not going to do it otherwise. I appreciate your participation in my process here. So yeah, this is definitely spring TTBR. And could it be a better series of colors for this, really? Because, it is such a pretty pastel, perfect, ready for spring kind of deck. The next deck that I have is I have actually filmed the unboxing / walkthrough because I had opened the box, but I had not actually pulled it out or unwrapped the cards yet. But it's the Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot. I love it. So, you know, spoiler alert, but what a shock, right? I kind of knew before I ever got my hands on it that I would love it, and so it is. Oh, it smells good too. Oh, it so smells good. It reads like a dream. It reads like a dream. It is bold. It is intelligent. It is, oh, it's so freaking intelligent. Wayne Rodney clearly has a really tight vision of this one. I'm a little more, I should say too, I'm a little bit more invested in this deck. I'm a little biased in favor of it, right? Because, I don't know, there's a lot of reasons. Let's just say I am definitely very biased in favor of this deck, and I knew opening it that I would want to like it, but you know how you have that little bit of trepidation about will I or won't I like this deck? But part of why I like it so much is because he's included alchemy and systems of alchemy in here, and Rosicrucianism, as well as all the different cultures, all the different, I get stupid and inarticulate. That's the magician. He's thoughtful instead of like overly confident. He's thoughtful and contemplative. That's exciting to me. Or like, I mean, how intelligent is that? It's just, oh, I love it. And then, you know, all the details. It's a great, oh my God, one of my favorite cards in the whole deck. Okay. Yeah. The Knight of Swords. I love it. It just doesn't, it surprises you in ways that you're just not expecting, which I also love. Look at that. She could go so many different directions depending on what cards surround her. I mean, it's just really, really freaking amazing. I love it. So I've already been reading with this one, and it's, again, it just reads like a dream. It reads like a dream. I've just been doing some daily draws and pulls with it, and I'm loving it so far. I don't know if anybody has this one. I haven't seen very many mentions of it. The unboxing and walkthrough is, of course, not. I mean, it's like an hour. I can't help it. I was just that excited about it, so there we go. What can you do? What can you do? The other thing I'm going to throw in there. So those are my two new ones. I am also going to be getting, it's not here yet, but I did go ahead and treat myself to one new deck. These two, I should say, they're new, right? They're new to me. They arrived, I think, at the end of last year. So they're new in the sense that, like, this one has been sitting for a long time. This one's also been sitting or in my purse or whatever for a long time while I'm kind of like, and looking at it, and being like, way too precious. They were from last year. This year I have not purchased any until now. And I did treat myself to, what is it called? It is the Midnight Mushroom Tarot. I've seen it popping up all over the place, like a mushroom in the night. You knew I had to. And it just looks so good. And I've had so many interesting experiences with the fungal kingdom, I guess, in the last couple of years. And yeah. But that said, I mean, it's a very inexpensive deck. It's like, I think I paid $22, including like taxes or change or whatever from Amazon. And so I don't feel guilty about it. It's a mass market deck. It feels okay to do that one. I just needed it. It's so different. And so pretty. It's so pretty as well. But I'm also interested, after I did, and they're not out yet. I think I'll put this one first, and then I'll do my hashtag decks. I did a only 10 indie decks and an only 10 mass market. And as I had all those decks out and was playing with them and looking at them, of course I'm coming across decks that I'm like, wow, why did I never really pick this one up and use it or work with it? And like, what's going on with that? What's that about? And maybe I could really spend more time actually doing that instead of buying new decks. Revolutionary, right? I think we all have a few of those in our collections. Those of us who have quite a few decks, and yeah, that really is where I'm interested in going. I have the staple decks that I always work with that I think are just always going to be on my shelves. But I spent so much time with Robert in Place last year that I really didn't get into a lot of the new decks that I picked up the year prior, right? So I have decks from 2021, possibly even 2020, maybe, that I have not delved into hardly at all, if at all. So that's kind of where I want to concentrate. I also feel a need to bring back in older decks that I lost track of or just haven't worked with in a while and give those a little bit of love too, because that was something that kind of came out while I was doing that TTB or doing those hashtags and kind of pulling those videos together. So one of those decks is we'll start with this one. One of those decks is it is an out of print deck. I'm sorry, but I'm curious about it. I don't know it. I don't understand it. It's the Gipsy Tarot, Tsigane, or the Zigeuner-Tarot. It is an AGMuller. It's printed in Belgium, 1982. I think when it first arrived, I unboxed it on Instagram. So it's still on my Instagram, which I've abandoned because it was too much to try and keep up with. Too much social media, too much. That said, I'm almost contemplating going back to it, but not right now. But it was still in its wrapper. I got it for an unbelievably inexpensive price for an out-of-print deck that was still wrapped. I mean, these are going for so much money on eBay, which I don't understand. It is a great deck. It's not that there's anything wrong with the deck. I just don't, I don't know. But then I paid through the nose for my out-of-print Buddha Tarot, so what can you say? That was when I saw I had more disposable income that was available, which I would also say I probably did not spend wisely either. But that said, this deck, I got it, I think I got it in 2020. I want to say it was 2020. Those are the backs. And I think, is it in order? I did. I just put it back in order. It was out of order. I think I'd taken it out and shuffled it. It is a really pretty little deck. I think Nina over at Shuffle Tarot and I were going to try playing with it maybe together. And then I got overwhelmed with another doula client that was a really difficult case. And that's what happened. And then by the time I came back to it, she had moved the deck on. She was just not as taken with it. I love this. I love this Hermit card, actually. I love the eyeball. Yeah. I love that there's German at the bottom. That's kind of cool. I did a little Google search on the deck the other day and found a few things out about it. It's definitely rife with cultural appropriation. There's no doubt. I think it is sort of one of those, I've researched something about the culture of the Romani Gypsy, and I'm going to appropriate some of what they're doing into my deck, because this is what, this is the way things used to work. God, look at that. And we get this in the Hermit, and then it's repeated again in the Tower. Doesn't mean it's not brilliant. It doesn't mean that it's, I don't feel like I can't look at it or, work with it or examine it more closely. I feel like I need to just learn more about it and about the process. Again, it was a quick Google, but I suspected that was kind of the territory we were in. And it was, I think, pretty much confirmed. So I'm just curious at this point too, like what has been appropriated, what is coming from other systems. In some cases, it's very clear it's coming from others, coming from systems we know. But I'm curious about what we don't know. So yeah, it is a really pretty little deck. And when you look closely, it is crowded, it is full of symbols and information. Wow, look at that. That was what, 10 of Wands? There's so many little glyphs in there. Yeah, full astrology. Yeah, I am kind of wanting to know more about what it is that I'm looking at. So, yeah, Schwert. Sword. Zwei Schwerter. Yeah, so 2 swords. Look at that. Yeah. I am just curious. Was it like that on the wands? Did I miss that? Was it? Yeah, sure was. Sure was. Just didn't see it. Wasn't paying attention. So anyway, so much detail. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll do a more of a deep dive or something, or look at them. But I am curious about how it reads. I have not tried to read with it yet. I put it back in order. I think I just shuffled it to see how it shuffled. I don't remember ever pulling cards from it. And it is such a pretty little deck. I kind of feel like I'd really like to connect with this. And so that is also why I pulled it out, because why have it? Why use it? Why keep it if you're not going to actually engage it? Will it devalue it? Sure. But isn't it better to use stuff than it? Look at that Queen of Cups. Look at that face. I just think it's better to use it than let it sit. That's just my, there are decks I have obviously plenty that just sit sometimes, but ultimately the goal for me anyway is nearly always to use it. I do know what this means, and it doesn't just mean I got your nose. It's a symbol of protection. Interesting. Okay. A fun story behind that. We'll maybe talk about it another day. Yeah, what a pretty little deck. So, yeah, I feel a need to just go ahead and pull it out and use it and see what, just like, what is it? What's here? What do I have? Because having that curiosity is really kind of fun sometimes. So that's also my TTBR. What else do we have? We've also got the Zerner Farber Tarot. This is a copy from the 1990s. And you know how I know that? Because I'm the one who bought it in the 1990s. Back when I worked in a little metaphysical store in St. Charles, Missouri. But that's the old one. It has never been used. I've never used this deck, really. I liked it. I thought it was so pretty. It is, of course, made from textile art. Oops, there goes that magician. And it does this every time I pulled it out in the last few days. It just goes flying. It has these beautiful purple backs. I was going to sell it at one point. And then I just didn't. I don't remember why. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I think Schiffer is going to reprint it. And I'm a textile artist, and I want to know if it's one that I can work with. Like, how do I feel about it? I did make at one time, and I may have a video of it up somewhere, I did make a little textile-inspired Fool card collage, fiber collage from this Fool, because I do love him. And then I still have it, actually. I'm pretty sure I still have it. I don't think I ever sold it. I did sell several of the other ones, but yeah, it is such a pretty deck. Wow. I do love this death card, rather. I was going to do one out of this death card, and I don't think I ever got any further with it, but I remember printing it and test printing it on different fabrics, and yeah, it's a really good one. It does kind of also inspire me to want to try different, techniques. Look at this moon. I love this moon. I was going to do the moon as well because it's so pretty. And the sun. It's a really pretty deck. God, why did I never use it? I mean, it's obviously RWS inspired. Yeah. it's so tiny. I mean, I think the Enchanted, I might get a copy of that one actually. Is it the Enchanted Tarot? By Zerner Farber. Look at that Ace of Hearts. God, that's pretty. And that too, I remember loving. I think that's what pulled me in too, was that Two of Hearts. I saw that at some point, and I used to be obsessed with swans and the idea of soulmates, the two, all of that. My 20s. Oh, that one. God, that's good. This is clever. This is more clever than I expected. And 7. Oh, yes. 8. Yeah, there's so much more here than what I realized. Oh. Oh, I love it. It's a meditation card. Yeah, God, okay. So I'm glad this is on my table, because what a pretty little deck. Maybe I ought to get the Enchanted Tarot. I bet somebody's got a copy of it that they'd be willing to part with for pretty cheap. Just to see what the difference is, because I know that one's supposed to be similar. I just don't know what those similarities are. But God, what a pretty little deck. Okay, I'm glad I pulled it back out. It just needs to be used. I mean, geez, it might take you 20 plus years or more to get to something. It's been I won't even say how long it's been since I bought that. It was a long time ago. Embarrassing. So, actually, I'm not embarrassed at all. It's just funny. So this deck, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It is another out of print deck, but April the 7th, it's a week ago tomorrow from when I'm filming this. I'm filming this on Thursday the 13th. We lost Rachel Pollack, and what a loss to our community. I didn't realize how influential she was outside of our community either. And it's interesting because Tom is super into comics and graphic novels. And yeah, that was just such a lovely to know that she covers both of those worlds in her work. And the scope of her work was a really beautiful discovery to make. I happened to be in possession of 2 of her decks. Again, thanks to Nina, because Nina over at Shuffle Tarot, we were going to do a collaboration and again see also do a client situation that went out of control in 2020, and that's where it left us. It just became impossible to try and coordinate, not because she didn't try very hard, but because my schedule and the way that things were unfolding would not allow. But I have a copy here of the Shining Woman Tarot. There is also, I do also have a copy of her other deck, which is basically the same deck with a few cards redrawn, that is the Shining Tribe Tarot. And I would love to see somebody, it's one of her legacies among many. And I would love to see somebody pick up this deck and reprint it. I don't know who would, but it's so pretty. It is a little bit primitive looking, as she draws from, I had started a deep dive into the deck actually at that time, and it just never got any further. And I really had wanted to do it with Nina, and I think Nina just ultimately had to move on and do it on her own. Again, it was intended as a collaboration. But what I love about it is the simplicity of the drawings, without any excuse for it at all whatsoever. I dare say I don't know that I can draw even this well, frankly. But also the use of various cultures, including Jewish culture, in here. So she's, again, I think it was 2020. It might have been as early as 2019. I just don't remember now. I want to say it was 2020. And it may be that we chose to let this one alone because Rachel Pollack, and also because in 2020, we were all in a space of saying like everything that's has any appropriation, cultural appropriation should be thrown away, or completely dismissed or redrawn. And I don't think that that's necessarily what needed to happen. There were, a few voices of reason within that, that I was able to hear from and listen to and take in. When you want to do the right thing and you want to do right by people because you really love them and you really care, it's sometimes easy not to be able to see the whole picture, right? And see things you can't see them rationally at all. And that is where we were. I remember this card very well. I think I drew it a few times. Anyhow, I'm very curious to go back and look at this one again and just understand it better, and thereby also understand her work better as well. I have to say, the cardstock is for this Shining Woman is out of. It's really good. It's a really sturdy, like shuffle it 1,000 times and it'll barely show any wear kind of deck, and cardstock. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I kind of prefer it to the other version of it, which is the Shining Tribe. And it's in this bag. I have this one in this little bag. Shining Tribe is a little bigger, but the cardstock is more of a papery one. Cardstock doesn't really bother me. It's not bad for either one. I'm not crazy about the borders. I don't think they add anything. Again, some of the cards are redrawn. I don't know. I kind of like the feel. I did a side-by-side, I think maybe, of this. I don't remember. I'll put it, if I did, it'll be in the description box. How about that? I just don't remember. But yeah, I know there were some card. I think, yeah, I liked the way that these were. This card, the Two of Birds, was on the other, in the other version. Anyway, not that it matters. We can recognize this one, can't we? Nine of Stones. Yeah. I don't know. It's just not as, I don't know. It just doesn't have the same feel to it that the Shining Woman does. So I'm going to go with Shining Woman. That's where I'm going to go. And now that I don't think I ever realized, or not that it really mattered, honestly, except that it does, that Rachel was trans. And actually, I kind of love her all the more for that, and admire her all the more for it. And it really, it makes me value and love and treasure my own femininity, I think, all the more, knowing what she had to go through in order to fully inhabit and embody hers. So, yeah, I've been including her in my Zitro practice. Not that she really probably even needs it. Her energy comes through so vibrant and so bright, but you gotta honor, and I really love her. So yeah. One that may stay on the table for the TTBR for me as well is going to be this guy, the Morgan's Tarot. We know this one pretty well. I think it popped up in my mass market deck video. It's just a super duper fun, playful, don't take yourself so damn seriously kind of deck. And it is a delightful weirdo deck and a little bit Buddhist adjacent. So I think I'm going to go with it. I do enjoy pulling this one out from time to time. The way that I've had to work with it is to put little numbers on here so that I can find the meanings in the guidebook. I'm also contemplating, there are times where it's okay to really just read it in context with everything else without the guidebook. But since I like to read, this one is one I like to use for myself. really. So, oh, whoops, how did that get mixed in there? Got mixed in there. Oh, well. And I just tossed it on the floor. I'm going to have to go over there and pick it up after a minute. But anyway, who am I? I don't know. There is no you. Yeah, it's really good. It's a good one for getting out of your own bullshit and your own ego space, and just letting go of some of that. It's really good. So there's that one. Every time I think I'm going to ask it a serious question, it gives me the most ridiculous answer I could possibly have ever expected or not expected. This one ended up on my, well, okay. Let's go to this one next. This one is, whoops, upside down. It is the Cosma Visions Oracle by James Eads. Ooh. And I got this one along with the other two decks and the book and the all the stuff. And I have actually, oh God, it smells so good. It's so pretty. I have never opened it or worked with it. I know. You don't even have to go there. I know. I'm aware. It is exquisite. I am, oh my God. It's just exquisite. Backings, look at that. Look at the edging. Ooh. And I've never even walked through it. Never even walked through it. I don't really, oh wow, it smells good. Oh, I know I took it out of its wrapping. I kind of like opened it and looked at it a bit, but oh my God, it's so pretty. Oh my God, so pretty. I know it's a deck that is going to require a lot of studying. I expect it to remain on my TTBR throughout the rest of the year, probably, unless I wind up reading very deeply with it. I may have to film a walkthrough of it, just because sometimes doing that really gets me refocused, and I actually look at the deck in a completely different way. So that might be something that comes. It's going to be something that comes up. What am I saying? It's going to come up. It did also come with this gorgeous little like carrying bag pouch. Oops, that has a. Was that an orb? Did we see that? Did I see that? Huh. Anyway, yeah, pretty little bag pouch that all three of the decks came with. When I was looking at how much I paid for that, I think it was $180 on Kickstarter. The amount of stuff that came with that, you would given inflation, you'd never get that. You'd never get away with that again. You know, it's just, it's, what do we do? I don't know. Anyway, treasuring the things that we have, right? Actually investing some time and energy in the things that you've already invested money in, right? Another one that I always have nearby, but have not, you know, is going to remain in use is the Sovereign Oracle. I can't remember, by Teresa Pridemore. I don't know why this was not on my indie list, because I never, like, I almost always use it for clients, and I almost always use it for myself because it's so, you know, in draws, because it's just so good, and there's just so much to it. There's so much in here, and often I find that the colors that I draw, you know, of the card I draw with the word will like mirror what's in a card in a way that's just unthinkable. It's an amazing little deck. And I've just used it pretty much nonstop since I got it a couple years ago. I love it. It's staying out because I use it all the time. Another one that is going to stay out on the TTBR desk. I mean, all of the ones that I usually work with will, of course. But, the Secret Dakini Oracle, really love this deck. It's creepy and weird and wonderful and very 70s-tastic. It's going to show up in my, it's going to show up in other videos here. But yeah, I can't get enough of it. It is a soul deck. It's one of those decks that came out of the box and we were just like, where have you been? Where have you been? I love you. It is not out of print despite being a 70s deck. You can get this freely availably on Amazon. I do not remember. Don't remember how much it was, but it was, for me, worthy of the investment because it's, it's Tantric Dakini Oracle, and I work with Dakinis, so ta-da! Another one that I think I will probably feel called to work with, I got for my birthday last year from my bestie, Maureen. And it is the Illustrated Herbiary collectible box set. And the funny thing about it is, I almost purchased this last year for my birthday for myself because my local bookstore that's literally right around the corner from where I work had these in stock. And look, it comes with a little bag, little pouch. We used it to read for Mo's birthday. It's got a hardback book. Look at this. This is crazy, insanely beautiful. Oh, it smells so good. And it is absolutely gorgeous. And of course, if you do a lot of work with herbs and so forth, and the cards are really pretty. Look at that. There's the backings. It's a gorgeous little deck. It doesn't feel very springy to me. Oh, they're kind of thick. They're a pretty thick little card. It doesn't necessarily feel springy to me, but it doesn't feel not springy to me either. And I think anytime you are working with, it's the time of year when the world of this stuff is awake, right? The plant world is awake. It's so exciting. I missed it so much. I miss it so much in the winter. It's like all my friends disappeared. It is such a beautiful deck. Yeah, I'm so glad she gave it to me, and I will treasure it because of that. And it is just the production it's beautiful. Maybe I'll do a walkthrough of this one as well because it's just so pretty. It smells beautiful too. Production quality is just unbeatable. I am tempted by the Herbal Astrology Oracle that Hay House put out. I think that one looks really good. And I should do an update at some point about my plant-based practices. Last year, that also took over at the end of the summer. So it was becoming like one of my primary practices to be with plants. And it was such a beautiful practice, and it was so rewarding. So I think at some point I should really kind of do something about that and bring everybody up to date about those practices too. But for now, I think this is more than enough. It is a very long video as it is. But yeah, fun times. If you're still here, thank you. And yeah, more to come. More to come. It's just good to sort of like say hi and keep diving back into the community again. It's been way too long. So, all right. Hope everybody's well, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye.